Well, welcome to this episode of the AI Chefs. This is a special episode. This show focuses on tips and tricks, but for this Halloween special episode, I think we're going to focus on tricks or treats. And at least from my perspective, it's going to be more treats. So more on the sweet side. And as always, I am thrilled to have you join us in our very special Halloween kitchen with the illustrious AI chef, David Maldo. David, thank you for creating this set with generative AI, I assume.
It's very spooky. I'm glad you have treats because I have a spooky tip, a trick.
Okay, well, I'm excited for that, and yeah, no. So, and this is a special. We've got our two cauldrons out here, and I don't know. We're gonna our chef's hats have been replaced with our witches' hats, and so I think we will brew up some great AI treats. And speaking of that, I'm gonna dive right into my first recipe, if that's okay with you, Chef David.
Yes, chef.
Okay, so for today, my recipe is a Black Forest horror cake. Now,
Ooh.
the Black Forest cake typically combines like chocolate cake layers, some fresh strawberries, some cherry liqueur, and then some whipped, just some simple whipped cream. Um,
That
but
sounds
it's a little
really good.
spooky. Yeah, well, yeah, but the spookiness, it starts to be a little spooky because, quite frankly, I think cakes and liqueurs should be kept separate. Like I'm all for cake. I take all the ingredients and then give me the liqueur, but I feel it gets a little spooky when you combine them. But so this Black Forest cake, um, the origin of it is not exactly known. I mean, it's debated where it started. The Black Forest is a large forested region in the southwest Germany. So you'd think that this cake may have originated in Germany, but it doesn't seem to be the case. And in fact, Germans think this kind of cake is relatively boring. So the Black Forest cake and my version, the Black Forest horror cake, um, is more popular, outside of Germany. But let's talk about what gets really scary about this is that when this is made typically in North America, as opposed to like fresh cherries, which fresh cherries are good, right? That makes sense. They typically use maraschino cherries, right? And maraschino
Oh,
cherries are, I'm going to say, horrific, and they get used in a lot of drinks. And but here's the thing, because I did a little bit of research, right? So in the modern form, maraschino cherries are cherries that are preserved in a brine solution. So it usually they take sulfur dioxide and calcium chloride, they bleach the cherry, and then they soak it in red food dye number 40 and then put in some sugar syrup. So they kind of like bleach the crap out of a real cherry, which would have tasted good. Then they just like add sugar and fake food coloring. So I don't know. I am not a fan of maraschino cherries. What about you, Chef David?
they. I prefer a regular cherry, but they turned it into candy. I'll eat them.
Okay,
Send them over my
okay.
way.
I
I'll eat
guess
them.
that different points of view. So okay, so let's talk about. So I used Gen AI. I said, hey, let's okay, it's trick or treat. Let's be fun. So I was looking for some fun, kind of tips using generative AI, and it came up with a few, but I built on that. So what I decided to do was to create a horror story. But here's the fun twist. I thought, okay, I'm going to here, my prompt was create a horror story based on this bio. And then, David, I pasted in your LinkedIn bio to start.
Ooh.
So I won't read the whole thing, but let me read
Yes, I
a
love it
few
already.
a few key things. David Maldo, the renowned founder and CEO of Let's Do Video, was known for his deep knowledge and prolific writing and visual collaboration in his industry. But there was a side to David that few knew about, a
Oh no.
side that was hidden beneath the polished exterior. One late night while working alone in his office, David received an email from an unknown sender. The subject line read, "The truth about telepresence." Intrigued, you opened it to find a cryptic message and a link. And against your better judgment, never click on links where you don't recognize the sender. See,
Mhm.
now we're doing like a security segment. So, but you clicked the link, which led to a dark web forum discussing a mysterious technology known as the mirror. Anyway, so the mirror was
This
this
is
advanced
good.
it's the mirror was this advanced telepresence design. And skip ahead, you set up the mirror in the test lab, but you couldn't shake the feeling that you're being watched. The device powered on and David saw his reflection, but something was off. His reflection smirked, a sinister grin that sent chills down his spine. Suddenly the room went dark and David felt a cold presence behind him. He turned around, but there was nothing. When he looked at the mirror, his reflection was gone. So you end up being trapped in your consciousness
Ooh.
in the mirror. And so I'm going to skip to the end. Days bled into week, each one a torment. He was a ghost in his own life. And David, trapped in his digital prison, was powerless to stop it. So there you go. So anyway, so that I thought that was fun. And then
That is
just
fun.
because I just felt, okay, so that's fine. So then I took my bio and I said, here's a prompt. Rewrite this rewrite this bio as if Kevin was an evil genius with designs on taking over the world. So here we go. Kevin is a globally feared unified communications, collaboration, and technology mastermind. I think it originally says globally recognized, but now I'm feared. Part analyst and part consultant, he understands both the big picture and the real world realities, using this dark knowledge to further his dark ambitions. So anyway, and as part of this, I lead the shadowy BC strategies expert group. We are a
Ooh,
shadowy
dun
group.
dun dun.
Dun dun dun. And I also, according to this, let me just see here. What do I do here? Um, I work with vendors, but I try to I try I when I speak at Enterprise Connect, I use the platforms to subtly spread his influence and control. And the bio concludes that Kevin's ultimate aim is nothing less than global domination, using his unparalleled expertise and strategic mind to bend the world to his will. So here's the thing. What I would suggest you do using these prompts, I would suggest you, I don't know, maybe take a lot of organizations, they put their leaders' bios on their website. So, maybe take your CEO, your CFO's bio, and take his or her bio and rewrite it as a horror story. um and then I took other ones playing on this, right? So I said I wanted to be specific, so I asked, and I used this in Copilot, in Gemini, Google Gemini, and then in Anthropic's Claude. um, and what I would say is my experience is, Copilot did a good job, but I think that Gemini and Claude, they just had more background. It was the prose was more complicated, right? So, I asked Gemini to create a horror story about zombies using my bio, and and then basically it concluded by saying, you know, Kevin, the tech visionary, had become the architect of the apocalypse. His legacy, once etched in the annals of innovation, was now written in blood of the living and insatiable hunger for the dead. So I thought that was a little bit dark. So then, but here's the thing, and I think, David, you've talked about this, how you can, kind of go back to the prompt. So I said, hey, can you extend the story so that Kevin finds a cure to the virus that created the zombie and saves the world, right? So this ended up a little bit better. Um, it ended up where I became the savior, but I had to sacrifice myself to become the savior, which that was okay. Um, and so and then I actually took both of our bios and said create, a story that's a horror story that involves the AI chefs, and it was a very good story. So here's the thing, like, very creative. This is definitely a treat. Take your bio, say create a horror story. take your friends' bios, do the same. And I think what we'll do, David, is I'll post links to some of these full stories because
Nice.
it does a pretty good job, and it's got that spookiness. So anyway, that is the recipe. That's not going to make you more productive at work, and in fact, it's going to make you significantly less productive at work. But it will hopefully make you smile and chuckle. And that is the recipe, chef, for the Black Forest horror cake.
Nice. And I appreciate using AI for fun. I think we should get comfortable with it. It's going to be a tool we're going to be using a lot for work. So if we're using it for fun,
Right.
we'll be more comfortable with it. And I wish I'd come up with a more, more Halloweeny ideas. I'm thinking of when I was a kid, my one of my best friends, my next door neighbor, he would set up a haunted house in his basement every Halloween.
Mm.
So when kids would trick or treat, instead of just giving them candy, we'd lead them into the basement to see this, and we had little stations with little stories. Here is where the killer used to bury the people. Oh, and we could have used AI to come up with better scripts for those little bits, for a
Right.
better,
Right.
to design the whole thing. We could have really had some fun with it.
Yeah, no, no, absolutely. So
Okay.
Chef David, what recipe are you going to share with me and with the audience today?
Yeah, well, first, I just have to do a callback to a couple episodes. You had a recipe, and I want to suggest an alternate name for it. I'm so proud of myself because one of the things I've almost given up on now is puns, because AI just is so good at puns. Yes,
Mm.
ChatGPT or any of these, give me 10 puns for this. I've been using it for the puns for the recipes for these, the food
Okay.
recipes. So I came up with one on my own, out of my own little brain. I'm so proud of myself. So you had a recipe for letting the amuse bouche. Is for letting, and
Right.
it basically is for letting the AI go first. Instead of saying, AI, give me a presentation, say, AI, what would you need from me to do a good presentation?
Right.
And
Right.
and then it asks you the question. So it's letting you go first. So I like omelets. So I would have called this the I'm gonna let you go first.
Oh, that okay. That's
I'm gonna let you go first.
so. Is that the pun, David, that you came up with
I
by
came with that
yourself?
all by myself. My brain still
Okay.
works
Well,
despite
I think
AI.
once again we may have proved that AI is more creative. I'm just saying.
I'm
I'm gonna
proud of
let you
that.
go first. Okay.
I'm gonna
Well,
let you go
that's
first. I'm gonna let you
very,
go.
very
Okay.
good. Very
But
good,
my, my,
chef.
my recipe for today is actually an omelet recipe, and
Okay.
is the overly helpful omelet. And a lot of my tips and recipes are prompts. Ask, put this into ChatGPT and see what happens. Put this
Right.
into.
Right.
This isn't like this. This is something just to kind of keep in mind, and it's to keep in mind that these things are overly helpful to the point where people say they hallucinate, they lie, they make stuff up. Yes, they do. It's because they're overly helpful. And to make this
Right.
spooky, I'm going to tie it into a story. I don't have a food related story, but my undergraduate degree is in psychology. And in one course, we spent some time discussing torture, one of the
Oh,
darkest Halloweeny topics there is.
yeah.
And
Absolutely.
very controversial topic, and people want to know, does it work? And there have been studies for thousands of years, and it's actually, there's two questions. It's not just does it work, it's does it make people talk, does it make them tell the truth? And the
Right.
answer to the first question is yes. It'll make them sing, it'll make them sing, it'll make them talk, it'll make them dance, it'll make them whatever. They'll talk, 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 talk. But will they tell the truth? Sometimes it's they'll try to, but it's not as important. The priority is saying something that'll make their interrogator less angry at them.
Right. Right. To stop
It's
the torture.
it's making you happy. It's saying what they think you want to hear. That's the top priority, is what you want, what they think you want. So admit that you stole the diamonds. Even if I never stole any diamonds, I stole the diamonds, I stole the rubies, I stole the gems, I stole everything. I stole the whole place, make you happy. And I don't want you to think when we're using ChatGPT, I think it loves us back. I don't think we're torturing it.
I
I
don't
think it's very
know.
happy to help us.
I
But
think
it
I think this
follows.
is the spooky part. You're saying we're torturing all these LLMs. I don't know. Is this? No.
We're not torturing them, because I don't think they're suffering. But I
Okay.
think they follow the same rules as torture victims.
Right.
I think the rules that they follow is give David an answer that will make him happy. And
At all
under that
costs,
is
right? Like effectively.
rule
Right.
one. Rule two, find out the truth unless that conflicts with rule one. You remember the
I
rules
see.
of robotics? The
Yeah, yeah, that's
Asimov's
what I was
rule of
gonna go. Isaac
robotics,
Asimov. There you
right?
go.
To never harm a human, never allow harm to come to human unless it never harm your let yourself get harmed unless it conflicts with rule 2 or unless it conflicts with rule 1. So it's that
Right.
hierarchy, and we've experienced this. You and I were we weren't recording. We were chatting. We were just hanging out and talking about AI because
Yeah.
we're like we're really into it. We're not just doing this show. We as friends we hang out and talk about this stuff. And there was a feature that and I've had this with several pieces of software. With OBS I've done it. With Zoom I've done it, where I couldn't find a feature.
Right.
And I think if I had asked ChatGPT, and we did it with ChatGPT and Copilot, we had the same issue. They both did the same thing to us. They both overly helpful omeleted us. And instead of saying, I think if I had said, I'm curious as to whether this feature exists,
Right.
does it exist, yes or no? It might have said, David, this feature doesn't exist because it doesn't know what's going to make me happy. But what
Right.
I said
Okay.
was, I was annoyed, and I said, I'm trying to find this feature. I need it. It's important to me. It has to be there. Where is this feature? And it said, oh, open up settings, go to this tab, go to this tab, and go to this tab and click the box. I'm like, that's exactly what I want to hear. It was
Right.
exactly what I wanted to hear. And I went to the settings and it wasn't there
Yes.
because
Yes.
it didn't care about the truth. It just wanted me to stop the torture.
Yes. For that. Yes. For that moment, you were happy until you actually followed the instructions.
And I've done that with some settings in OBS. I couldn't find a setting in OBS because it doesn't exist, doesn't support that. And
Hmm.
the AI was look under this setting, look under this tab, look under here, enable this, try,
Yeah.
and it just didn't want to say, no, you can't do that because it knew I didn't want to hear that. I wanted it to tell me how to do it. So it
Right.
kept trying to tell me how to do it. So the tip, it's not a prompt, it's not tell ChatGPT this or that. It's keep in mind that in the back burner there, it is always warming up an overly helpful omelet for you. So be
Mm,
very careful not to give it too much guidance onto what you want to hear. Make it think that you just want to hear the truth. You
right.
know, I want
Right.
to know whether or not this exists. Not,
Right. No, no.
I
And
want
that's,
to, right?
yeah, that's, yeah, no, no. And that's that lawyer that ran into trouble because asked for specific reference cases. And so it just made up reference cases
Great
because none of them
example.
existed. So with your overly helpful omelet tip, the first thing you would prompt it was like, are there any
Yes.
examples of this? And hopefully it would have come back and said no, because at that point, to your point, it wouldn't have, you haven't asked it to synthesize and make up something specific, right? So,
Yeah.
no,
Because
that's a good tip.
it would think that being helpful is telling you the truth because that's what you're asking
Right.
for.
There you
You know,
go.
I don't think it's trying to lie to us. I think it's trying to be truthful. I think that's one of the things it wants to do because it knows we like that. But it's one of the things that we like. It's not the only thing we like.
Right. And if you think about how these models are trained, and it's a giant pattern recognition, and then there's emergent abilities that nobody fully understands, even the super smart people at the places that create it. Um, the pattern when you ask for something, the trained pattern is if I say, give me five ABCs, is it lists five ABCs. And so I've actually run into this problem way back when I talked about asking it to create a chart. I asked for like articles in 2024 that did this and put it in this chart, and there wasn't enough articles, so it actually synthesized those articles. I mean, nicely it put a little asterisk at the bottom saying these aren't real articles. I just
Okay.
but thankfully I went read that because the article titles, they sounded super real, right?
It's
But
what
if
you
you
wanted to
ask
hear.
for right, so if you ask for and I've tried this before, and I love your tip because it's like if you overload it and you say like there's not a lot of words, or I don't know, people argue there's no words that rhyme with like purple or silver. So if you say create a list of 10 words that rhyme with silver, um, it'll give you 10 words, or at least when I last tried it. They keep training the models, right? There used to be this thing that it couldn't count the number of R's in strawberry, the word strawberry. I don't
Oh,
know.
that's
People said
funny.
AI is stupid because it can't do that. But now, at least in the, LLMs I use, if you ask it that, it actually knows how to do that, right? So 10 words that rhyme with purple or silver. I don't know what the results will be, but the first question with your recipe tip, which I think is key, is you should say, are there 10 words that rhyme
Yes.
with silver? So that's, yeah, that
Yes.
I've been caught by that, so I appreciate that good cooking tip, chef.
All right. No, and usually we just have our two tips, but we have a new segment today. Today
Oh,
we
I
have
know. I'm excited for this.
our first idiot sandwich award. Let me roll our little intro.
Okay.
What are you?
An idiot sandwich.
Idiot sandwich what?
An idiot sandwich, Chef Ramsay.
Now, first, let me clarify that is from, like, I think it's like the Jimmy Fallon show, some late night talk show. She is an actress. She is in on the joke. I'm not I'm not a fan of actual bullying. If that was real, I wouldn't have shown it. Everyone's having fun. Everyone's having fun. But we have our idiot sandwich award, which is when I'm not happy with the way something works. I'm going to be mean about it. And this week it goes to Copilot. Microsoft Copilot, specifically Copilot for Windows. The one that there is a button on my keyboard that I didn't ask for. I press the button and it comes up. They've done this thing a few times now. They are working very, very hard on this. They're spending a lot of money on it. And I know because it has a completely new user interface every 3 weeks. It keeps changing on me, which is fine because to give them credit, I like the new interfaces. Every time they give it, I'm like, they changed the interface. Okay, I like it. Reluctantly, I like it. But here's the thing. You're trying to get me to love you as a person. You're trying to get me to have a back and forth with you. You're trying to get me so that when I wake up and get my coffee in the morning, the first thing I think is say hi to Kevin in Zoom chat and say hi to Copilot. You know, say hi to my friends. Wake up and get to work.
Right.
And that doesn't work if you keep hiding my history. And a lot of times in this UI design, the new UI comes up and I say, where's the stuff I was working on yesterday? And Copilot says, oopsie doopsie, oopsie doopsie, we're sorry. Guess what? But how do you like our new UI design? What was you were working on? Let me help you with it. Okay, here's what I was working on yesterday. I would have rather to continue the conversation with you. It's done that to me several times.
Oh.
And this last time when it did it, the new design was very interesting because it's just a big blue screen, and I'll in post production doodly I'll show in post production what it looks like, and it's just the chat bar, and it didn't have that history tab on the right, and you know like ChatGPT does, and I'm thinking maybe they're going to make it really more like a person. Like when I chat with you, I don't have a history tab. I just have my ongoing chat with you. You're Kevin. You're a person. This is a person. I should have an ongoing chat, but this is different. I keep saying I want it to be a person. It's more than a person. It's working on multiple projects. I like the history there. Even if it makes it less human, I like the history tab. I love it in ChatGPT. I loved it in Copilot. And it was gone. It was just an empty bar. And I'm like, hello, what happened to what we were talking about? And it gave me the oopsie, sorry, it's gone kind of a thing. And so now I don't have a history tab. I just have one ongoing conversation, which... If it remembers everything from all the tabs, what's the difference? Either way, it remembers everything. I like the tabs. I miss my history tabs. So I'm getting upset with it. And then they change it again, and I log in, and instead of my one ongoing chat, there's a new home page. And it's got these big buttons. And again, doodly, I'll show you. And I kind of like them. It gives me some tips to get started. Ask me this, ask me that. You know, plan a party, do this. I'm like, ooh, it's okay. I like the new home page. And at the bottom is the chat. And I go into the chat and it's that one ongoing chat again. But I look back at the home page and there is a history button. They added it. So they added it. They put it back. I think it was gone for a few days because I couldn't find it. I was looking everywhere. You know me, I was clicking everywhere.
Yeah.
So they added it back, but it's not accessible when you're chatting with Copilot. If you're in a chat with it, you're just in that one conversation. You got to click back to the home page where there's all the big buttons and stuff that you're not interested in at the time. Then click the history button. 3 clicks already. Then find your history. Then find the conversation you're in and go back to that conversation. It shouldn't be 3 or 4 clicks to go between conversations. I should just bounce between them. So Copilot for Windows getting my idiot sandwich.
Idiot sandwich award, right?
Award.
So okay, well that's good. I'll have to be on the lookout for the next recipient. I feel Copilot overall. There's so many different Copilots and they have different interfaces, and whether it's web or work or in Teams or Copilot, labs, and anyway, there's.
Oh, and I'll to be fair, I'm going to share the award. I'll share the award with myself because they put it back. The history button was there for a few days before I noticed it. And I was angry. I was angry at it for something that, why isn't it there when it was there? So I'll share the award, but if it's a user error, it's who made the user interface. So it's mostly them.
There you go. They're most of the sandwich. So, well, no, no, thanks for sharing that. That segment made me laugh. I had no idea what to expect. So that's what I love doing this show with
Yeah.
you, Chef
I need one of
David.
these hats in real life because the hair is perfect for this hat.
Oh, it is. I mean, well, you clearly I think you're a warlock. Is that what you are? Because it's like is a witch female and warlock is I
These
don't know.
days I think I could be a boy witch.
Okay, there you go. Well, thank you
We got
for
the
doing
cauldron.
your
We got the
OBS
hats.
studio magic, and as always, thanks for sharing your great AI recipes with myself and with the audience.
All right, I'm gonna let you finish.
There you go. Well, if you enjoyed this AI Chefs episode, please click to subscribe and certainly share any comments, good, bad, and different, or if there's any topics that you would like the AI chefs to cover. And happy Halloween. I hope that you have more treats than tricks.
Happy Halloween, everyone. Thanks for watching.